going on, Wolfpack Nation? Hope everybody's doing well this evening. Thank you all so much for joining in here, baby, for the Tuffy Talk Live Show. We are so excited here to talk about, 5-1, baby. Pretty or not, we are sitting here 5-1. We got some dogs in the house. That's right. Greg showing off his turnover bone, baby. That's right. Obviously, I think that bone right there belongs in Devin Boykin's household for quite some time. What a clutch play for sure. So with that being said, again, if you haven't already, again, make sure, if you haven't been with us before, make sure, again, send us a comment. Let us know who's in here in the chat with us. Join Christian Jones. Christian Jones, what's going on, brother? Absolutely. We at Tuffy Talk are Kenzie's #1 fan, so we'll have to fight you on that. But with that being said, though, again, we're going to be talking today, breaking down the NC State versus FSU football game, talking about the Devin Leary injury, kind of talking about how that's going to impact, and then obviously talking about this huge game coming up here against number 18 Syracuse. So obviously, again, you got myself, Wade Smith, Michael Tracy, Ken's Blackwelder, and Greg Legg here joining us, and Macon will be joining us here in 1 second. But in the meantime, I want to go ahead and even start this off by, first of all, welcoming me back. Ken's back to the Tuffy Talk Live Show. Appreciate you joining us once again. Glad to have you back on.
I've missed y'all.
It's been different. What can I say? It's been different not having you with us. So it's good to have you back after I think we all can agree is a huge win for NC State for sure.
100%.
So and also too, I want to take this even opportunity as well for those of you tuning in with us right now to thank you all, even if if you're watching or listening after, for joining us and raising some money to really help Kenzie and the Blackwelder family. I think we raised $1,670. So an amazing accomplishment. Go ahead, Kenz. What you got?
Before I left the hospital, my parents and we came up with something we wanted to say to everybody. We love you guys. Y'all really, I did not expect that. We were extremely touched. My dad was extremely touched. So never been more prouder to be a part of a fan base. I love y'all a ton. And thank you for all. I've gotten so much support, love, prayers from just random State fans. And it's really helped us get through this. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Absolutely, Ken. No, you got.
Hey, stop cutting the onions over there.
But now let's talk some football.
Yeah, no, that was awesome, Ken. No, we love you and the family, and again, glad to hear you. At least your dad's in good spirits right now. We're definitely still hoping for the best news here possible. But yeah, just like Greg said, those daggone onions.
I promised myself I wasn't gonna cry.
I know.
Ogres are like onions; they have layers.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great movie.
That's one of the best. So with that being said, so again, obviously huge win, 19-17 win. And I think that's got to be one of the least common scores I've ever seen in a football game for sure. 19-17. That is a weird one. What is it the terminology? A scoreopoly, something like that. Scoregami. That's right. I don't know if I don't think it's probably it's not a scoregami, but it's definitely a unique one for sure. But again, obviously the big news for sure is obviously it was definitely a tale of two halves. I think that I know all of us in the first half were absolutely pulling what little hair that each of us have left and going, why the heck on straight 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 did we throw the ball 2 times in a row? And we were literally running at will that game. And again, we're going to be talking about that for sure. I think that you can't have a Tuffy Talk live show and not talk about it, because that is definitely the elephant in the room, alongside the Devin Leary injury as well. So Kenz, I know you were front and center. So what were your thoughts being there front and center?
I needed it. I've told everybody there's nothing like Wolfpack football therapy. There really isn't. I was right. We were literally right in front of Devin when he got that interception. And me and Hannah were so close to jumping the wall. But the environment.
And you would have been arrested.
100%. I didn't care. Add it to the week. But
yes.
No, it was.
Hey, it would have gotten Tuffy Talk some publicity, right?
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's
You're
true.
welcome.
That's true.
But yeah, it was an amazing environment. I wish the lights would have worked or would have been working beforehand. But I mean, other than that, I feel like somebody tweeted and said State might be one of the luckiest teams in the country right now. And
it was Wake Forest.
Yeah.
Which, come on, get out of here. Yeah.
But that was a luck win, and I'm just proud of the team for coming back, even with everything that happened with Devin Leary, and still overcoming that.
Yeah,
it shows a lot.
Which obviously, definitely, I think, interesting news today. Like great news, but interesting news for sure. Obviously, with the announcement from Dave Doran saying that Devin Leary is day to day. He could be back tomorrow. He could be back in 6 weeks. Which I think, to me, I bust out laughing when I read that, because anybody who actually thinks that Doran doesn't really know when he's going to come back, no, he knows when Leary's going to come back.
It's gamesmanship. It's gamesmanship.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I love it. I mean, again, it's because at the end of the day, again, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, priority number one of Doran is to win football games. And at the end of the day, especially because again, we're not talking about two quarterbacks that are exactly the same. We're talking two quarterbacks that are very different, polar opposites almost. Jack Chambers is a dual threat. Devin Leary is a pocket passer. So the fact that you're basically Doran is basically forcing Syracuse to worry about both sides, that's very, very tough. A game plan for a dual threat is going to be a lot different than it is for a pocket passer. So making, what you obviously mentioned gamesmanship. So give me your thoughts on that statement by Dave Doran.
I mean, it would be stupid for him not to say that. It basically is saying, well, when can we see Devin Leary? Well, you're going to see him sometime in the future. So it's like, are you going to see him soon? Okay, well, that doesn't mean anything. So, I mean, I think you'd be dumb to kind of tip your hand on what's going to happen here, especially when if you really are in a spot where you can't have Leary to go ahead and tell, we have a backup quarterback. We're just going to go ahead and tell you that Devin's not playing so you can prepare for the backup. You're already at a disadvantage to a degree there anyway. So it would make a lot of sense for him to say what he did.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, and here too, I want to kind of bring up Robert's comment right here saying, since Leary has 1 week rehab, at least 1 week rehab, wouldn't you expect Beck to develop plays fitted for Chambers' complete skill set, including passing? Chambers had 400-yard pass games in his past and passes, but anyway, he's been efficient as a thrower, obviously during his time as Charleston Southern. So, Greg, I want to kind of get your thoughts on this. I mean, for me, I feel like that I would be surprised if Leary played this Saturday, but I, would not be shocked whatsoever depending on what happens. So what are your kind of thoughts? I mean, even if they say Leary is playing, do you see Leary playing full snaps, or do you see him maybe splitting some with Jack Chambers? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would be honestly shocked if he plays this week. Just given everything that, he was down for a good minute, comes back with the sling. Yeah, I that would surprise me. Also, let's not forget that the game next week is on turf, which is a little bit different, hard surface. So that's not always conducive, for when you get knocked down to the ground. So
True.
Again, I don't know how much that would necessarily play into it. But I think Chambers is capable. This is a guy that walked on. Let's not forget that part, and was automatically pretty much elevated to the second position, and so much so that Aaron McLaughlin transferred out of the program. So it really probably wasn't even that close. Mm-hmm. I got full confidence in him. Look, last week, he was put in a tough situation. Number twos don't get a lot of reps in practice. The focus is on your number one guy, so they didn't probably have a lot of packages set up for him. But hey, to go in there and do what he did, I mean, he caught more passes than he completed. But you know what? Got to win. And
hey, you know what? Dave Doran had the comment. He said that I was going to say Devin Boykin, that Jack Chambers has had 400 yard passing games, so it's not like he can't throw the ball. Yeah, I don't know. He had one bad pass, the first pass he threw, but the pass at Darryl Jones in the end zone was not a bad pass. So it was just like he ran probably 90% of he was running on the plays that 90% of the time that he was actually in the game. So but he can throw. It's just a matter of like what you were just saying, Greg.
Yep. Well, and again too, I think that with Jack, it's again, just like you were saying, it's a tough situation, especially when all the air gets sucked out of the stadium. When Devin Leary goes down, to jump in there and be like, okay, Jack, like now you got to lead us, because again, people don't even probably won't even understand how big of a win it was to beat Florida State yesterday, because I think that obviously losing like we did to Clemson, we needed that bounce back. We needed to get this. And again, I know somebody was, getting on me earlier talking about how, how I said that, that we need to get the season back on track. But again, I mean, we just need to get back in that win column, because then if you lose to Florida State, this season quickly turns from being a potential special season to being a great season. But, because again, you still can be 10-2, you still can win your bowl game, go 11-2, which is great. But I mean, this team, as talented as it is, especially with the defense as talented as it is, and the kicker as talented as it is, again, I got to give a shout out to Chris Dunn, and we'll talk more about him in a little bit.
Freaking beast.
That we need to be competing for a New Year's Six bowl. We got to be at least in that talk, at least. So, but yeah, and obviously, Rusty here brings up the question that we mentioned about earlier: is the frequent criticism of Beck's play calling fair? Thoughts? So, Michael, I want to get your thoughts on that first.
Yeah, I mean, we're I think 90th in total offense. A lot of that has to do with we've had the lead in a lot of the early games and didn't have to do much. We just protect the ball, run the ball, which we were successful at against Florida State. That's also part of the reason you didn't see Jack Chambers throw a lot. Like, he was getting 5 yards a carry running the ball, so there was no point to force him to pass it there. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely been some questionable calls. But when you have the expectations like we do this season, it's totally fair game, I think.
Yeah, because kids, I want to kind of get your thoughts, because honestly, I think the biggest worry for me is that Devin Leary has shown signs of, like, for example, that first drive against Clemson was like, that's the Leary I'm talking about. The first drive of the third quarter, that's the Leary I'm talking about. But then you'll see other times, where it's like, well, what's going on here? And so I mean, do you worry at all that maybe there's a little bit of a regression going on right now with Leary or something like that? Like what's your kind of thoughts on that?
I think that he's in his head too much, in my personal opinion. I think that obviously we don't have a Mecca. The only person that's really been with him this whole time is Thayer and Devin. But I mean, as much as I love our wide receivers, they haven't really helped him out in that category. But I think that it's all gotten, I think all the hype got to his head, and it's made him try harder than he just needs to go out there and be the Devin Leary we know he is. Yeah. Don't worry about the expectations or anything. But Tim Beck drives me crazy. He drives me crazy. I don't understand it. Every first down is a run play. And it the thing is, like, I don't know if something happened over the offseason, but we all know Leary can throw.
Mm-hmm.
So let him throw.
Yeah. Make anything to add to that?
No, I think it is fair to question it when you've been expecting to have a very high-powered offense and a special court ACC preseason player of the year, and he's that can kiss that goodbye. Like, that's not happening at this point. Yeah. So it's just maybe, I thought in the first few games, we're probably just running something very vanilla to, playing chess rather than checkers here. We're not showing our hand too much. I thought there were some nice play designs in the Clemson game, but we're just not taking a lot of vertical shots. I think part of it is because the receiver, the players aren't making the connections. They're Devin's overthrowing passes. Receivers aren't catching passes when it hits them in the hands. I see the Clemson game. So I think it's a multi-layered thing going on, to be honest with you. I think it's not one person. Yeah. I do agree with what you're saying, Mackenzie, about how it does seem like every first down play is a run play, and that's more conservative than it is anything else. I just think it's the problem with that is it's predictable, and that's the last thing you want to be as an offense. It's predictable. So, but yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
And Greg, kind of ask it too. Like Nick asked the question: has Beck called a successful trick play this season? Like, to me, that's the thing. Yes,
one.
Yeah.
One. It was Charleston Southern, I think.
Yeah.
The pass to Devin Leary that got that
wasn't
but that was the sumo. Also,
but you asked executed, and it was executed well, but it wasn't. It was just a stupid penalty.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
Texas
that's
Tech though they threw one to Sumo for a touchdown right after Sumo fumbled.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
another
yeah.
question I have
Yeah.
for y'all. How do y'all feel about these pre-snap penalties?
Well, I was getting ready to touch on that.
Yeah.
Like that drive after the debacle punt that FSU had, that was a microcosm of our season right there on offense, right? So
Yeah.
it
was a
it
negative
had,
30 something yard scoring drive. That was
and we still
Third and
score, right?
40.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
yeah.
a
So to
negative
me, that
scoring
was
drive.
that was what summed this season up offensively for me. Somehow
honestly.
we literally couldn't get out of our own way and out of our own shadow, and we still put up 3 points thanks to Christopher Dunn's 53-yard field goal.
Freaking beast.
Yeah, and I know you're going to talk about him a little bit, but to me, that just summed up everything.
Yeah. No, again, I mean, got to give a hats off to Chris Dunn. I don't think he's honestly even missed a field goal this season yet. Hasn't missed a PAT. Like he's been perfect so far through 6 games.
I think he missed one field goal.
Did he?
No, he's
I think
perfect.
he's missed one. Is he
He's 11
perfect?
for
I know
11.
he is from 40
perfect.
plus.
Yep. No, he's perfect. He has
Okay.
not
Wow.
missed a field goal this season.
We're all fangirling over Chris Dunn.
I mean,
All
but
right,
seriously
You're
though.
perfect,
Hold
Chris.
on.
Yeah, knock on wood. Knock
right.
on wood over here. But yeah, no. So I mean, again, gotta all the criticism that people said, like believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, he has a very, very. I mean, it would be tough to convince another kicker as probably the greatest kicker that NC State's had. I mean, statistically, he's up
Nicholas
there.
Sadie.
But
Nicholas
I mean,
Sadie.
again,
I'm putting his stats. Hold on, I'm gonna put his stats. NCAA.com field goal percentage. Devin Lee. I mean, Christopher Dunn is tied field goal percentage with first with like 15 other players, but he's tied with one other player on field goal attempts, and he's
For this season.
For this season, he has
Gotcha.
11 field goal attempts this season through 6 games. He's 100%. The only other kicker who has the same is the kicker for Memphis, Chris Howard. So everybody else, the next closest has been a couple guys or 3 guys have made 9 field goals, and then there's some 8s or some 7s. But he's made 11 field goals. He's perfect. He's tied for first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he could argue he's the best kicker in college football. Him and this guy from Memphis.
Yeah. So, but again, I know it's kind of tough necessarily to judge kickers because obviously, kind of like right now with the NFL, talking about Adam Vinatieri versus Justin Tucker, it's like, well, it's 2 different situations because Adam Vinatieri has more postseason history while Justin Tucker doesn't. So, it's kind of tough. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, we have a great kicker, and at the end of the day, that's just fact. And I also love to them playing the oh man, what is it?
I forgot what the name of it is.
The baseball intro.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tommy Trumpet.
Yeah, that is officially Chris Dunn's walk-off song.
It makes sense to me because
Especially
he does.
That's lost.
Yeah, that's true too.
Well, he
Oh.
does have this. He has this swagger about him when he comes out there, and it makes a lot of. If he's that good and he has the swagger to kind of work with that, play the music. It gets him in the zone. It's kind of like I like it. I think it's a really good move personally.
Yeah.
So I just went to everybody's favorite sportsreference.com, and looking at it, it's hard to argue that he is not the best kicker of all time in NC State history. I mean, obviously numbers, like you look at total field goals made, he's destroyed that field. He's 25 more than 25 more than Sadie. There was a couple NFL kickers that we've had over the years. I mean, I'm old enough to remember some of these names. Mike Kofer was one. I know he kicked for the 49ers for a while. Vedetech,
Jankowski?
Yep. Hartman. So yeah. We already know
you said you had Sadie in there, right? Did you have Sadie in there?
Yeah, Sadie. Yeah,
Sadie's up there.
Sadie's number 2. What separates Dunn is his field goal percentage. I mean, he's 4th. He's like actually 5th, but he's really 4th. Like 3 guys had 100%, but they all kick less than 15 field goals. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But he's the only one really of significance, other than Hauschka. That's really
Hauschka.
Hauschka. Yeah, I know he kicked for the Bills for a while.
Yeah.
Dunn is also only 38 points away from the all-time ACC points record.
That is insane.
Wow.
That's conceivable.
You can definitely do it.
That's definitely conceivable.
It's a stretch, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you count the bowl game,
right? He had to be
bowl games
13
count too.
field goals, right?
Yeah.
And that does not count extra
that would
points.
be 13.
That doesn't count extra points either. either. So
Right.
it wouldn't have to be 13 field goals.
Yeah,
Right.
But with the way our offense is playing, it might have to be. 13.
It might be
I
field
mean,
goals.
I mean, you think about it. He basically has 7 games. And
7 games.
the game. That's the record.
3.
If he averaged field goals a game, he might have a 3 or 4 field goal game.
Yeah.
Coming up here, maybe 2. Probably, I wouldn't bet on any more than 2.
Yeah,
Right.
plus extra
We'll
points.
see.
So
That's true. All right. So with that being said, we're
Wow.
going to pull
Good
up
stat.
some. Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, I mean, for Greg to actually fully admit that it'd be tough, that does say a lot, because I know Greg is definitely one of the historians for sure for NC State sports, no doubt. So with that being said, we're going to jump on over to some Tuffy's tweets of the week to continue this conversation. Here we go. All right. So our first tweet of the week. Gotta go out, Coco Ken. Obviously, it just seems like the camera always just finds its way to Ken. It's
Me
like
and that cameraman
Were you wearing
are
a
like big.
snuggie?
No,
That looks like a
I
snuggie.
we-
Were you wearing a
It's a
snuggie?
wolf outfit.
No, me and Hannah were gonna wear our Hannah's in here. Hey, Ann, we were gonna wear our wolf onesies, but we didn't. We planned that too late, so it was still soaking wet the next morning. But I had a sweatshirt on halfway, so that's what that was.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. No, I know what it was. I was just giving you grief. But
Yeah,
it does
me and
look
that
like a snuggie.
cameraman are besties.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so now on to the next, which is a quote from Jack Chambers saying, "Best feeling I've ever experienced in my college football career." And obviously, again, just got to give a huge hats off once again to Jack Chambers for really stepping into a really tough situation. And even too, I mean, we didn't even talk about it, but for Jack Chambers to jump in against Clemson when Leary got knocked out for a play because his helmet came off. I mean, he got thrown right in. Like, there wasn't a timeout to get ready. It was, hey, go out there and basically don't screw up, don't turn the ball over. And obviously keep in mind, obviously he handed it off, but just the fact that, again, he didn't have a second to breathe. He literally just had to go out there and do it. So the fact that he did it flawlessly, I mean, hats off to him for sure. And I know the big question, again, Robert Gibbs and a couple of others have asked, but how much do you feel like we see MJ Morris versus Jack Chambers on Saturday?
You don't. Barring injury.
You don't.
I don't.
You don't.
So.
Barring injury.
I think. I don't know. I'm excited to see Chambers because he does bring that running element to the quarterback position that we don't really have with Leary.
Mm-hmm.
And we run a lot of RPOs with Leary, but it's like he's not a threat to run, so he's either going to hand it off or pass it, so that limits your options. I mean, I'd still rather have Leary out there, of course, but it just brings another element that is something that the defense has to account for that they really don't have to do that much with Leary.
Yeah. Back to MJ for just 1 second. Just to close the loop. He's already played one game. Remember, you got to stay within 4 games to keep that red shirt, and they really want to keep that red shirt on him.
Oh yeah.
So again, barring injury, I don't know. I don't know if you even. I mean, you probably could. Obviously, you have a little wiggle room to play with that, but you don't want to do it unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Well,
I guess.
I don't think you should play Devin Leary this week to a degree. If you can play healthy, great. But I got a feeling you're not going to because you got a bye week coming up.
Exactly.
In 2 weeks. So.
Well, you got 2 bye weeks in a row because we play Virginia Tech at home next week. So, but yeah.
Damn.
I'm sorry, but I mean, golly, they are.
Did you really just
low
say
hanging
that?
fruit?
I'm knocking on wood over here. I'm knocking on wood, ladies and gentlemen. But
I'm just go there and hit you across
said that
the
with
head.
the straightest face.
What? No.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Also, shameless plug, but we did interview Jack Chambers earlier in the season, so go back and check that video out. Just to kind of get some more in depth on him and his story coming to state. So shameless plug.
Well, and we'll actually probably so after this show we'll put a tweet out giving the link to the Jack Chambers interview in case anybody can't find it or whatever, maybe we'll put it out there. But again, it's gonna be exciting to see what happens. I think that again, at the end of the day, there was a reason why Doran went after Jack Chambers, and obviously this is the position that we're ready for him, and especially too because keep in mind as well that with Leary is that as much as we need him this season, he still has a future NFL career as well that we don't want to risk either as well. Like we don't want to put him out there until he's ready. But anyway, and then Robert Gibbs says, don't laugh at VPI. State always found a way to lose to VPI. VPI.
Dude,
Robert
they
Gibbs
didn't
goes
look- they didn't
VPI.
look-
He doesn't even go Virginia Tech. He goes
VPI. If he
like,
said
Polytechnical
VPI, if
Institute.
he said VPI,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
knows.
He knows what he's
I got
talking
you.
about.
Tech.
He knows what he's
He's a
talking
real
about.
deal. He's a real.
That was also the Beamer Ball era of Virginia Tech, not the Brent Pry.
Hokey high VPI. Yeah. Hokey.
Yeah.
and it's still funny to me, because again, I obviously watch South Carolina games, since my wife went there, and it still is hilarious to me how even every single time there's some kind of a decent play on special teams, South Carolina, they're like, that's Beamer ball, baby. It's like, golly, like Shane Beamer will never get out of his father's limelight, never.
Not unless he wins a national championship.
No, not unless he wins a national championship, or hell, even a SEC championship, even an SEC championship. Shoot.
Yeah, that's
Bro,
true.
That's pretty
if
big,
they're winning
so.
the SEC championship, they'd probably have a good shot at winning the national championship.
Mhm.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we'll see about that.
Facts.
But gotta give on to, and again, keep in mind, obviously, we got Syracuse this weekend. It's going to be a big one. 3:30 kickoff, ACC Network, and actually we did our preview last night with Lockdown Syracuse, and so make sure to stay tuned for that. Part 1 should come out tomorrow. And again, that'll be a big one. But I think if I'm not mistaken, so Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but basically, and there's my wife
Sorry.
in there. Yeah, there's my wife in there with the plug. When you beat a top 15 in the country, yeah. Anyway, but
Cut her internet.
Right.
Well, if I cut hers, I cut mine. I can't do that.
Yes.
Can't do that.
I got a quick question. Why doesn't South Carolina and Virginia Tech play more often? Because one's a chicken, the other one's a turkey. They should play more often.
Well,
Random thought. I'm just going to put that out there, Ashlyn. That's for you.
yeah.
And they're maroon.
The foul bowl.
Maroon.
Maroon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is
No.
that the foul bowl?
Well,
God.
the foul bowl. But anyway, so finishing my
That
point.
was so random. Sorry.
So Lockdown Syracuse, and Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but the stat was this is the first time that is a top 20 matchup since 2002 or 3? 2002 or 3?
One.
2001. Wow. So over 20 years ago. So it should be an electric environment for sure. It should be a fun one. And speaking of electric, got to give a shout out here to our sponsor, Darby Electric. Darby Electric is a veteran-owned company, and they specialize in residential work, but that's not all. They also build electric vehicles, do a ton of remodel work, commercial work, and many other types of small projects. Even though the Triangle is their primary service area, they are capable of expanding that boundary. So go check them out at their website, DarbyElectricLLC.com. Find them on Instagram, Facebook, or give them a call at 919-639-0062, which they are available for your call 24 hours a day. So with that being said, jumping back in here, got to give also a shout out here to Trent Penix, who put out a tweet, which is very insinuative. Obviously, the depth chart today that got released had many question marks, such as them putting Devin Leary as the starter with no or anything. And then also, too, the fact that they don't have Trent Penix on the depth chart. So definitely interesting. But again, that is to be determined even still. I know from, I think, Dorn's press conference, they said that Trent looks to return either this week or next week against Virginia Tech. But I mean, from this straightforward, I mean, the man did not leave any room for a question. He said, time to put the pads back on. So what does that mean? Not really sure.
He's going to go give it a go. See what
And
happens.
hey, he would be a huge addition to come back, especially
For
with
Jack.
Jack Chambers
Yes.
having to play. That adds I almost starting to wonder how much, with our struggles we've had offensively, I'm starting to wonder
Agreed.
how much he plays into how successful we are offensively.
Oh, 100%.
He might be the key piece for our offense. Not saying he's going to be a superstar, but I'm saying what he can do on the field might be what we're missing. Because we're not really targeting Tootle much either. So I
We're
wonder
not
if it's
at
that
all.
if it's that spot that kind of like a Jalen Samuels kind of role,
He
not
reminds
me.
a
Right.
Jalen Samuels light.
Right.
That could be a big piece for it. I mean, could maybe be the undersung hero or the unsung hero for the offense if he can come back and play.
Yeah.
I
me,
think
he's just
really
a-
important.
Go ahead, Michael.
He's like,
agree.
he's 6'3", like 215, 220, and runs a 4.4. Like, that's
Mhm.
crazy athleticism that he's faster than most linebackers and bigger than most safeties. So it's like he's a total mismatch.
Yeah. Well, and again, honestly, my biggest hope, and this is one thing in which I was kind of disappointed by also too with Beck, is I just wish with Jack Chambers, and maybe it's not a part of the package yet, but I think it does. Just keep it simple, especially with Jack Chambers. Just do some simple read options. Just let Jack Chambers, who's done it a zillion times, read the defensive end or the linebacker, whatever it is, and just let him read it and just let him do his thing. Not do these huge rollouts. I think he did 2 or 3 of those on Saturday, and so that's what thing I hope is let's just keep it simple. Put Jack Chambers in a position to be successful. That is my only ask. So and I truly do think that if we do that, we're going to be in great position to win, especially too. And this is kind of a teaser for the preview that's going to come out again. Should be tomorrow, but they pretty much said Locked On Syracuse pretty much said straight up that if one thing happens, Syracuse is going to have a tough time. And that is if we get into their backfield, if we shut down Sean Tucker before he, right after he touches the football, or if we get to Garrett Schrader, get a couple sacks on him, it's going to be a rough day for Syracuse. I mean, he said that himself.
I think we should. I know Garrett Schrader has been a better passing quarterback. He's been a very good passing quarterback this season, which is a shock. But I think you want him to be a passing quarterback. I think you want to take away. Sean Tucker allows him to be passing quarterback. So totally agree with you. And I think that's very interesting. They seem so serious about that comment.
They were. Yeah. Well, especially just keep in mind, they haven't played a defense like us yet either. No, they have played no defense like us yet. So, Greg, go ahead.
No, that was the one thing that he kept harping on was like the offensive line of Syracuse is going to be, is very leaky, if you will. And this could be a game where we get right in the sack column. I thought we did a great job against FSU getting pressure, particularly in the second half. The first half was a little bit of a debacle. We didn't have our lane integrity, and Travis broke off some things, which is something that we need to be very cognizant of because Schrader is I'm not saying he's as good as Travis, but yes, agreed. So
he's a big dude. He's a big dude too.
He is a big dude. Yep. So look, it's going to be important. Defense is going to have to show up. More so than ever. I think we're going to be leaning even heavier on the defense and special teams, and especially on the road game. When you're on the road, you tend to keep it a little bit more simple, just because of the crowd and all of that. And they're expecting 50,000+ this week. So it's gonna be loud.
It's pretty. Am I missing something of why they are considering this such a huge game? I think it was the only thing I could see. I mean, I saw a lot of Syracuse fans advocating game day, come to Syracuse this weekend.
Well, they've never had it.
Well, that's one thing. I mean, I get that, but why are they so serious with this one? I thought I saw something where it said that they themselves have never had they haven't had a game since 2004 where they were ranked and the other team was ranked in like the top 20 or whatever it is. So
that's the stat we were saying was that this is the first time since 2001 that the Dome has seen a top 20 matchup.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed that. So it was but I don't know. I think it's gonna. I'm surprised at how big of a deal they're treating this game. At least in the fans' minds. Well, I would have thought it's a big deal, but it's like a premier game to them.
I mean, if you look at it, it's kind of like we're the same position we were at 2 weeks ago with Clemson, right? Like it's kind of uncharted territory, if you will, or very, doesn't happen a lot. And so, I think they were trying to, make the most of their moment. They haven't been ranked in probably, I think 5 or 6 years. I think since 2018. I think that year that they went 10-3.
They won 10
so
games.
It's been so 4 years. But so it's a big deal.
Well, I mean, hey, they're 5-0, ranked in top 20. So, there's a lot of excitement right now, within it. And
they moved up but not playing at all. We dropped back one by winning a game.
I know. And believe it or not, actually one tweet, which I completely forgot to add, which I got to give a shout out is to the guy that said, we might actually win ourselves out of the top 25.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the greatest tweet, which I'm sorry, my friend, that I did not put that on here, but definitely huge shout out to that tweet. That was freaking hilarious.
That's hilarious.
That was great. I mean, again, it's we can sit here and talk, but at the end of the day, keep in mind that the AP poll at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The college football playoff poll
in a few weeks, it really will not matter.
It really won't matter.
November 1st is the first day. First poll, November 1st.
Yeah.
And again, we've talked about it before. If you're going to put any credence into the polls, the coaches poll to me means a little bit more than the AP. Now, those are actually professionals that actually know football. No offense to any of the AP writers, but most of them,
They're looking
have
at
never even
names.
strapped it up
They're looking
before.
at
We
names
love you,
and
Joe
bias.
Gilio. You're the man. Yeah.
I said most.
Yeah, exactly.
Most.
Exactly. No, well, and again, I guarantee you that Boo Corrigan being the college football playoff, head committee chair is going to be being like, all right, guys, state is, hey, hopefully
That's
by
true.
that point where we can be what,
Top
7-1, 8-1,
Yeah.
and Boo Corrigan
7.
staring him in the eyes, going, well, you lost to number 5 Clemson on the road. So don't you dare put us like 16 or some crap like that. Don't even try that. But yeah, no, I mean, again, Mark says it right there, saying it's a pretty big deal for State as well. Not going to be an easy win up there. State hasn't played well on the road at all this year. And yeah, I mean, again, keep in mind, we've only had 2 games
2
on the road.
Yeah.
So
Let me ask you this
so,
question, guys. What do you think is going to be the tougher? I feel like the easier question is to ask, what is the tougher game, this past Florida State game or the Syracuse game? But I want to say, what do you think is the tougher matchup, maybe? Because I feel like they're relatively evenly, even teams between Florida State and Syracuse this year. For right now, I think that.
I would say personnel wise, Florida State was definitely the tougher matchup in terms of personnel. So go ahead.
Yeah. And they've just, Florida State's played LSU, they played Wake. Syracuse best team they played so far is Purdue.
Correct.
Which, Purdue's decent.
Yeah.
But it's also on the road, so that I still think Florida State is probably a tougher matchup.
Yeah. I was just thinking because if State can get this win, I was going to say was getting the win against Florida State at home or getting a potential win if we can do so. Not saying we're going to, but if we can do it against Syracuse on the road versus which one would be the bigger win? Arguably, it could be the biggest win if we felt that was the tougher matchup. If you get what I'm saying.
Honestly, if you're gonna think of it in those terms, I would say Syracuse win because you're gonna do it with a full game of Jack Chambers vice a half.
Mm-hmm.
Though Jack
true.
was the guy that led us back.
Well,
to 9 points.
And if that's more of a it's going to be the tougher game for us to win because of that reason. But I'm like,
right,
which would be a I don't know. I probably asked the question. It's just I just think about that. It could end up being the biggest win, arguably bigger win.
Yeah,
this
top
season
20 team on the road.
Right. Yeah. Florida State was not ranked.
Most impressive, if you will. Yeah.
But the other thing I will say is we've had a much tougher schedule so far than they have. They're
easily.
We talked about it on Locked On with last night's preview. Syracuse is beginning their gauntlet this week with us. It's going to get tough. Really tough sledding from here on out for Syracuse. So if they want to get to a bowl game, this is going to be one that they want to probably try to get at home.
Yeah. Ken, any thoughts on the Syracuse versus Florida State?
I think Florida State is the more complete team than Syracuse is. So I think that I like how we played Florida State before we played Syracuse because I think we have a good idea of what we're walking into on Saturday. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, because the Carrier Dome's always a hard place to play.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Go ahead, Leighton.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to add in because one of my things too is that we were kind of talking about it, and again, won't kind of ruin too much about it, but Syracuse, I feel like is still trying to figure out who's their top wide receiver. Obviously they lost Taj Harris last year in the transfer portal, which hurt for sure. But with Florida State, one of the things which was a huge, kind of a head scratcher to me is it doesn't seem like they used what I would say was easily their best wide receiver last night really that much. And I can't remember the name, but he was like 6'7".
Wilson.
Johnny Wilson.
Johnny Wilson runs like a 4.3, like 4.40. Dude's huge and he's fast, and they didn't really use him that much. So, but again, there's definitely a lot of head scratchers if you're an FSU fan in terms of what happened Saturday night. But one thing's for sure is I still am laughing a little bit inside, thinking about them celebrating at halftime after he made the kick and they were running to the fans and doing the chop with their fans. Yeah. And
our group was the one that started that in the student section for the Seminole chant at the end. I just wanted to throw that out there. That was a big deal for me.
Well, nice. I mean, I'm just looking at PFF because I can. But the Syracuse, if you look at the overall grades, including offense and defense on PFF, Syracuse is ranked 10th nationally. Now that does not take into account the level of competition. So just realize that. But how they're performing based upon who they've played, not by the level of competition. Syracuse is ranked 10th overall. Florida State is ranked 14th. Also, as a side reference, Wake Forest is 7th. But I think of Syracuse. I think Syracuse has the better defense than Florida State. Personally, Syracuse's defense, particularly their secondary, is really good. They had Melifonwu, I think, was the DB that got drafted last year too. They got another guy. I don't know the guy's name, but they've got some players, and I think it's going to be a tougher matchup. In fact, their number one graded aspect of their team this season is their coverage play. I mean, they're really good.
Yeah, they do.
So defense as a whole is ranked higher than their offense, but just barely. But coverage is their best things. I don't know. I think a lot of their defense, the weakest portion here that I'm seeing,
offensive line should be
is defense is pass rush. That's their weakest. And then offense is pass blocking. So they're struggling maybe more anywhere than the line of scrimmage, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so let's run the ball. We did that very well against Florida State. We had over 200 yards rushing. So
yeah,
and then let's get after the quarterback. So
no,
seems like a good formula.
Got to give a huge shout out to Jordan Houston too, y'all. I mean, definitely. I mean, he's not been amazing, but this season he's been solid. He's been consistent. Like he's not going to blow the socks off, but he's solid. Go ahead, Ken.
Doper Mims.
Yeah,
and Doper Mims.
He was a bowling ball.
He has killed it.
Yeah.
It's still crazy to me that we haven't even seen like Michael. We saw Michael Allen play just a little bit, and he averaged like
game,
6+ yards. State's in a surprisingly very good position at the running back spot. I'm not worried about that, anymore.
Yeah.
Really,
I mean, Houston had 24 for 90, but I thought a couple of times he was just a fraction from breaking even more. I mean, he bounced off, and I think, man, it was probably 4 or 5 that he got caught behind the line of scrimmage. So obviously those weren't his fault, but like on real runs, he was over 5 yards a run. When he got past that first line.
True. I agree. So now moving on, I wanted to kind of give a shout out here to one of our NC State alumni who tweeted out saying, "Can I log one complaint? The in-stadium soundtrack hasn't changed since I was in school 10 years ago. And some of the songs are way older than that and not cool old either. Please do something at football, at athletics." So I wanted to kind of get thoughts. I mean, in terms of stadium atmosphere, first of all, obviously, I was definitely bummed that, in a game that was the perfect time to show off those beautiful red lights, where there was a lot of great recruits that were there. Like, that was the time to do it. But man, I was bummed that, we couldn't do it until after the game ended. But, because, one thing too, and I know we kind of talked about it, but, have I been blown away by, the intro video? It's solid, but it's not, like put me on the back of my seat per se. And the music, obviously, like the Narco, for Chris Dunn. I mean, that's a goat within itself. But it's a solid environment, but it definitely doesn't blow my socks off. I want to kind of get y'all's thoughts on it.
New score or new video board next year should help.
Well, I'm going to talk about this music. I like music stuff. It really is. It's like, how many times do I have to hear Crazy Train? Like, I've heard this for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, there's some songs that are okay, but I thought that myself before I saw that tweet. I was like, man, like are we going to do any new song? We have, but it's like they kind of blend in the new songs with their core old songs. And it's like, I get the classics, whatever, but we could really be bumping some much more hype music in there. And I don't know. It just seems like kind of, I don't want to say washed out, but it kind of feels like that a little bit.
I agree. Yeah. No, but again, then we've won what now? 14 in a row?
14 games straight. So
it's like, who cares? I mean, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it right now. But
yeah, no, absolutely. So with that being said, again, got to talk a little bit more also too about our defense, baby. So Matt Zenitz. I don't know exactly how you say his name, but anyway, he put out a list of top coordinators for week 6, and for the ACC, he gave that award to our defensive coordinator, Tony Gibson. And definitely, when facing the challenge of Jordan Travis and the run game, to hold them scoreless in the second half, is beyond impressive. And I think, I can't remember the exact stat, but I think they averaged less than a yard. No, that's not what it was. What was it?
They had.
It was.
I'm not sure which one you're referring to, but they had
like
73 yards in the second half.
That's what
0 points.
But yeah, no, absolutely.
And they had to play like that for us to win that game. So it's not
basically.
It's not like we are we're struggling there. I mean, I think it's actually kind of surprised he picked Tony Gibson, because the first half we didn't look very good defensively, in my opinion. So
first half was bad.
Mm-hmm.
The second half was just really dominant, I thought. There were some drop passes, but I thought that was more so in the first half. So
yeah, no, absolutely. But again, I mean, the fact that, Jordan Travis, was solid. But he threw 2 picks in the second half alone, and so that's really kind of it, I think, and obviously Drake Thomas was, spectacular, man. That dude was a beast. He was all over the field making plays.
All 3 of our linebacks had double digits tackles last week.
Crazy.
Yeah. And the other thing, like, I went back and rewatched the game. Again, we had a lot of missed tackles that we could have stopped plays before they got developed. I know of at least 2 plays where we had Travis in the backfield and we couldn't bring him down, and he ended up getting out of there and had positive plays. In fact, the one that he had, I think he had like a 30-yard run in there at some point. I think one of those was a broken tackle in the backfield. So Tanner missed a tackle or 2, and so we could have held them to a lot less yards had we taken a few better angles and secure tackles.
Yeah. And also too, Beck Wolfpack A13 asking question, how many times do we have to hear the same song on third downs? Every third down. It's a good hype song, but come on, every single third down gets annoying. I don't know, man. Crunk ain't dead. That's all I'm saying. For me, I like it. I'm a big fan.
I didn't even know the name of it. I'm sold.
You would. No, I'm kidding.
Crunk ain't dead.
I'm sold. I don't even know what the name of the song is.
Crunk ain't dead. Crunk ain't dead. Crunk ain't dead. Hey, to each preference. But the one thing, again, keep in mind, you got to keep this in mind. At the end of the day, as much as we want to believe that environment is to please us, at the end of the day, the environment, the uniforms, that's for the players and the recruits first and foremost. Because again, you may say, well, why is that? Well, at the end of the day, hey, whatever makes them play, do the saying, play good, feel good, but also too, whatever gets the recruits to commit, and come in here and win games for us, win championships for us, I'm all for it. Whatever makes them happy, hey, let's do it. Look, I don't care, what it takes.
If we wanted to go to a true throwback and wear pink and blue back from our old days, if it got us a W, I don't even care.
Nope, couldn't care less. Yeah. Nope,
even if we wore blue on the field, I don't know.
I didn't say that blue. I said the pink and blue that we used to have.
Right. Yeah. No, so back, Wolfpack, the one thing which I would say to you is look at the sideline every single time that plays, and you see all of the players, bobbing their head, getting lit. So, at the end of the day, that's the important thing.
Right, same.
Yeah.
You're a different kind of lit there, Greg.
Different kind of lit. So yes, no, we do not promote drugs or alcohol here on Tuffy. We do not do that.
I heard Greg promoting it. I heard him.
Yes,
said
no,
it.
we do not.
I'm kidding.
We do not. So I want to ask a little bit about that too, real quick. Because I heard.
No, I don't have a problem.
No.
Sorry.
So there were some rumblings of some pretty big recruits there last night. Macon, Michael, Greg, any insight there? I didn't necessarily look at a list or anything like that, but any Noah Rogers in the house, maybe?
Yeah, he was there. People say they saw him.
Nice.
Yeah, he was there. Now it was apparently on some of these forums. They were like, "Hey, just a heads up." They were on. It was like heads up. There is just a big time recruit committed somewhere else that's going to be attending, but they wouldn't say who. And just to be mindful, like there's reasons why we can't share. You don't want the other school knowing and that kind of thing. Not saying it's going to happen because, I mean, Ohio State's playing really good right now, so it
Sure.
helps. The guys I would be more interested in, like seeing, like, okay, what is Keith Sampson with Florida State? He's committed to Florida State, but he was there in attendance. Obviously to see.
But you could make the argument he was there for Florida State, but
right.
Yeah.
But he's there for the two schools he would consider at all. So
correct.
But he's committed to Florida State.
But especially, because you say that, Greg, but to me, if I'm a Florida State fan, I don't necessarily see it as a good thing that he's visiting the other school while we're playing them. I don't.
Yeah, but I mean,
he also lives in North Carolina. It's easier for him to get there than it would be Florida.
I think it's neutral. It's like, well, it makes sense for him too. It's it's Florida State. It's not like if he were to visit UNC, he probably should visit them. If Florida State played Duke, he probably should visit them. Wake Forest. So, I think it makes sense for him to do that. I just think the other guys that were recruiting, there were a lot of other recruits. I don't know the full list. I think there's
Obi was there.
Yeah. But the one thing which I will say, though, is, again, if you're an FSU fan, you're thinking in the back of your head is that as much as that makes sense, at the end of the day, that Keith Sampson was probably in the post-game locker room. He was probably talking Doran after the game, and Doran probably walked up and said, hey, just so you know, we just beat their, So, just saying, we just beat them. That's all I'm saying,
You could argue our defense closed out the game whereas theirs didn't. Theirs
didn't.
But no, I think it looks like from a list I have seen, it looks like, it's more 2024 recruits that were notable at this game, but they were key 2023 recruits there, like Keith Sampson, Noah Rogers was there. It was. It's always good winning and helping recruiting.
And
Absolutely.
then,
doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Then okay, I'm gonna need you, Obadiah, right?
Obasuyi.
Yeah.
Obasuyi. Obi-Wan.
He just said call him Obi. Yeah, he just said call him
Obi-Wan
Obi.
Kenobi was there.
Obi.
That's
That's easy.
That dude is like, if you have to do a double take. I don't know if anyone saw when he was there. He was wearing Icky's 79, and I thought it was Icky. So I was like,
yeah,
he's a big dude.
He's a big dude.
Yeah.
I think State has 4 offensive tackles committed in this class that you could probably shift some to guard, but
when
you see Charlie Simons, you see Obasuyi, you see Rivers, and who's the other guy? I'm blanking off the top of my head. But there's 4 guys there that I'm gonna have to go look it up because now it's gonna really bother me. But those are all offensive tackles that they're big dudes. Every single one of them. I'm gonna look it up while we're talking because it's gonna bother me.
Yeah.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'm gonna answer Robert Gibbs. Tune in tomorrow when we drop episode 1. And then I think Thursday when we drop episode 2, or Friday, one of those days.
Thursday.
So Thursday, yeah.
Kamen Smith was the guy.
I'll give you one, Robert. We kind of talked about it. We need to get pressure on Garrett. Like Macon said, if you get him rattled, make him be a passer. I like our chances.
Yeah. No. Well, and also too, the fact that, I think that the biggest statement to that is the fact that literally the Syracuse guy said straight up to us, and again, see you tomorrow, that if you get in the backfield, it's going to be a rough day for Syracuse. Simple as that. You said it straight up like that. So, I think that's pretty, Davin Van.
And obviously the other thing is we got to stop Sean Tucker. He was one of like 2 running backs last year that got over 100 yards on us.
Oh,
and so,
Sean Tucker is the real deal. He's going to be playing on Sundays. I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah.
He's
Macon,
real good.
Macon, if you were an NFL guy, where would you draft him?
Nope. We're going to stop that.
He's not. I'm not going to say what I said, but where would you stop?
Okay.
Where I draft him?
Okay.
Oh,
I'm not going to. I have a hot take.
Where does he rank?
I know.
What is his ability to catch the ball? Is he good? Can he catch the ball
back?
well?
Yeah, he's a 3-down back.
Yeah.
Oh, me. I'm going to say. Let me say this: where I think he's going to get drafted is, I'm going to say early 3rd is where I think he's going to get drafted. I think he's a 2nd round pick talent. He's not getting drafted in the 1st round. But I think he is I'm going to bet he's a 3rd down or a late 2nd is what I think. He's really really good. He's breaking all of their records in Syracuse, and they've had some really good running backs.
And that's where I was going with my hot take last night. So
yeah, I just think. Sorry, I'm going to put this. I don't think NFL players really invest a ton heavily on first round running back talent unless they're supposed to be generational.
Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, those kind of guys.
Right.
And Jonathan Taylor wasn't even the first round pick, was he? Like Najee Harris was, but Travis Etienne was.
Yeah, he was like
late first.
Ezekiel Elliott was, but I think he's probably a early third round pick. Is what I think.
Yeah. So if you want to see Greg's hot take of where he thinks that Sean Tucker can go, make sure you tune in for our Syracuse
Greg
preview.
thinks he's going to be Mr. What's the word? Mr.
Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant. That's what he thinks. He thinks he's Mr. Irrelevant.
Last pick of the draft.
Hot take right there for you guys.
Which and do you remember the NC State player that got drafted as Mr. Irrelevant?
I remember.
Oh, was it recently?
I don't remember who it was, but
it was. Hold on, I think I know this one.
That's a good trivia question.
Is it? It wasn't James Smith Williams.
No.
It was not Kelvin Harmon.
No. But he was close.
Man, that is a good one. Hold on. Don't say it. Damn it.
I was gonna say, if you need a hint, let me know because this is a good one.
Give me a hint.
Give us the position. How about that as the hint?
Okay.
Quarterback.
RB.
No.
Oh, Matt Days.
Matt Days.
Oh, yeah.
Matt Days of the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Yep. Mr. Irrelevant, 2015.
When?
16.
I was going to say 17.
16.
I was going to 17.
No, he wasn't there.
Between
17.
2015 and 2018, somewhere in there.
Yeah. See what
Even
I'm
now,
saying. Because 17 was Naheem Hines' year, so it was 2016.
Yeah. And then it was
Okay.
Reggie after that.
Gillespie. Yeah, Reggie Gillespie. Yep, you got it.
Yeah.
Yep. But Benjamin Orman asked about, do y'all see Jordan Houston returning? Again, we'll see. Again, we still got this season to worry about. We just got to keep him healthy, keep him rolling. But I mean, if he continues doing what he's doing, I definitely, would not be surprised if, somebody takes a late shot on him. But I see him, maybe as a free agent, prospect, really honestly right now.
He's not an NFL kind of guy. He could be.
No.
He's not an NFL draft pick kind of guy. Maybe a late, like you're talking about Layton. So
maybe like a late shot if he does well. But again, we still got 6 games and probably 7 games left that, I mean, I would surely hope that, we could win one of these last 6 here, but, so anyway, so wrapping things up here, obviously got to give a shout out. NC State has won 3 straight against Florida State, has won 5 of the last 6 against FSU. So one thing I do know for sure is that Chuck Amato is a happy man right now. That is for sure.
Side note, why does he sit in the stands with the normal fans? Like, why can't they get that guy like a He
loves it.
Well,
he loves it.
If he loves it, then that's different because I would love it too. But man,
we talked about that before.
I was like, why is he there? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So I'm not gonna tell you
again,
where he sits, but I was like, what the heck? So
Chuck Amato is a legend, not only just for what he did, obviously as a coach, but just even afterwards. And if anybody sees him, he will more than happily take a picture. He'll more than happily say, "Hey, whatever it is." He is, God, he's awesome. Like, I love Chuck Amato.
that promo where he comes up there and he's like, "Don't drink and drive," and he goes, "Go back." That was awesome. Like, Chuck Amato.
Call me.
Yeah,
Chuck
Amato.
The way he said, "Oh, call me Chuck Amato. Go back." I'm like, that's awesome. Makes me
That was pretty good. That was pretty good, man.
That sounded just like him.
Yeah.
Making shout out to you, man.
He's kind of really raspy. Like, he's kind of been almost like he's been a drink smoker.
Hey, it's all.
I just think it's great when see every time. I'm like, Chuck Amato, man.
He's a great ambassador.
I had to explain to Lindsay that his nickname was Chuck the Chest, and I was like, dude, he had like this. And she was like, what?
He had a barrel chest. Barrel chest, man. Absolutely. That's for sure. And I mean, and he doesn't quite have it now as much as he did then, but man, you look at pictures, there was no doubt that dude was Chuck the Chest, no doubt about it.
He's
always at the a little off topic. He's always wrestling too. He's got his own assigned seat there and everything right behind the scorer's table. So he's a big NC State supporter for sure. So kind of wrapping things up here. Skip one too many.
Go back. Okay. Got to give a shout out to our man. Speaking of, Ike Ekwonu having a 98 run blocking grade against San Francisco on Sunday, and he has the highest grade ever for a rookie offensive lineman in a single game in the PFF era. So, I mean, obviously, again, we talk about the first game he went against Myles Garrett. So obviously got absolutely thrown to the fire first game and obviously failed miserably. And, again, rightfully so, can't blame him one bit for that. But now he's starting to get a little bit more into his own here. Obviously he's still not fully there yet, but hey, he's heading in the right direction right now, no doubt about it.
Pretty good, yeah.
So I mean, I think he's he can be a lifelong Panther for sure. And I think he can have a great career as long as things continue and stays healthy. I don't see why not. So Ken's being an intern with the Carolina Panthers, I know you kind of have a heart to heart being an NC State fan and a Panthers intern. So what's your thoughts on Ickey? You think he's the reason why Panthers are coachless right now, or what's up?
I mean, I don't think he's the reason Panthers are coachless at all. But I love seeing Pac pros, but that one hits a little more close to home because it's one of the only state players that's ever gotten drafted by the Panthers other than Justin Burris. So it's like I love seeing him play. I love watching him.
Now
I'm ready to see him be a Panther for a while.
Let me ask you a legitimate question though. Let me ask.
The others were illegitimate.
No. Here's a big one. I'm asking this, and again, I want to hear in the comments too what you think as well. Who's the best Pac Pro on the Denver Broncos?
Oh, it's Bradley Chubb.
Yeah,
I know. Right now it's Bradley Chubb.
Yeah.
Currently, even I would have never guessed that.
I mean, but most accomplished. I mean, it's Russell.
I'm sure Russell, but man,
currently playing.
They've got the Wisconsin version of Russell Wilson right now.
Yeah.
Well, they've also got the terrible coach, and they've got
the coach is going to get fired. He's going to be the next one to get fired.
Well, because again,
Hackett.
They have way too much money invested in Russell Wilson for him not to be playing way better than he is right now. Like Geno Smith, like it literally is making right now. It literally is looking like that Pete Carroll was the mastermind behind everything. Russell Wilson wasn't even that good. It was just that Pete Carroll was just that good. Because I mean, Geno Smith is freaking amazing right now.
Carroll wasn't the one out there throwing those balls, man. Yeah,
no, I say
remember Bill Belichick and Tom Brady was having the same thing. I know, but again, I mean, when we were having that same conversation about Tom Brady and Bill Belichick just a few years ago. So look where we are now.
The one thing I'll say about Russ is, I mean, he's had an arm injury for the last couple of weeks, so I'm sure that's not helping the situation at all. But if you're gonna go out there and play, you got to go make plays. So
now I do got to give a shout out to Hunter Smith saying that if Chubb could start his own towel company, that would be a $1 million idea right there, no doubt about it.
It could be like the My Pillow advertisement, just be Chuck's My Towels.
Yes, exactly. So, and also too, want to give a quick shout out as well. Once again to Chris Dunn, ACC Specialist of the Week, and Drake Thomas, who was also announced as the ACC Linebacker of the Week. No shocker here whatsoever. Again, I mean, we've already talked about Chris Dunn and what a job he's done so far, and Drake Thomas. It's great to me, honestly, the fact that it hasn't necessarily been like, oh my gosh, Peyton Wilson is absolutely killing it right now, or Isaiah Moore. It's like all those guys are playing really well right now. Every one of them. Yeah. It's not like one is standing above the rest. All of them are playing really well for us right now. So can't really complain too much right now about where we stand. The fact that, knock on wood, they are all still healthy up until this point. Yeah, again, up until this point.
Shout out to number 32.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Shout out
32.
to the number
Good week
32.
For 32.
Mm-hmm. Hey, no kidding. And then last but not least as well, I want to give a shout out to Big T and Jarkel Joyner, who are going to AC tip-off for men's basketball, and then Jakia Brown-Turner and Diamond Johnson, who are going to represent women's basketball for AC tip-off. Hey, we're 4 weeks out
prime
now
time.
from men's basketball?
Prime time is this Thursday. Yeah.
8 p.m. So make sure to check it out. Rails Coliseum. Again,
whole
be a lot
new
of fun.
talent, whole new almost whole new roster. It's going to be fun.
Wait,
Not
I thought
completely, but
it's prime time with the Pack is not at. I don't think it's at Reynolds. It's at the Plaza between Carter Finley and PNC. It's gonna be outdoors.
It's outdoors.
Yeah.
That's
really
even cooler.
Yeah, because they're doing
cool.
in conjunction with the state fair. So if you know,
Oh,
so
wow. Yeah. Ooh, that's gonna be rough. Ooh. Okay. But I mean, hey, there's gonna be a lot of people there. But yeah, I mean, but I mean, yeah, that's really cool though. I actually really like that. That's really cool. But yeah, no, again, women's and men's basketball, completely new rosters. Now obviously comparing last year's seasons, men's versus women's is not really a fair comparison, but still, at the end of the day, I think that
I'm
you
sorry.
know yeah, man, Mackenzie, you're laughing way too hard on that. So anyway, so Robert Gibbs asked the last question here, saying our chance at Syracuse. Okay,
let's go get
we
it.
play our game, or
I mean,
I'm sorry, I don't know what you're saying there, Robert.
there's a
But
couple
anyway,
typos in there.
Well,
chance. Yeah,
I think
Chance
Robert
to
Gibbs
win.
is lit.
yeah.
no, we're hey man. So states a states a 4-point underdog, 3-point underdog, 3.5, whatever it is.
Yeah.
ESPN's FPI, which I don't fully buy into all the way, has Syracuse with a 58.7% chance to win the game. So backup quarterback, you factored that in.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm
fair.
I'm a little worried about it. Just more face value. Like you're going up to Syracuse on the road. They have a good defense. They're going to be really amped up for this game. You got a backup quarterback. You're not, I can't. I'm not going to say I'm going to expect us to win this game, to be honest with you. But I think we have to adjust expectations a little bit. But man, I don't think this is out of reach. Excuse me. I think it's very possible. Our defense, defense travels is the expression. We can shut them down, and especially if we get Tyler Baker-Williams back, which it sounds like we are,
Huge,
and if we get Trent Penix back, that's a really big deal. Especially not, Devin Carter and Demi Sumo are also healthy. Nothing major came from them.
No.
There is a small chance you could be playing Devin Leary. Don't think that's going to happen, but he is listed on the depth chart as a starter. So,
Yep.
I don't say it's out of reach. I think it's very possible. I wouldn't be surprised if State won, but it's like I just don't think we're going to get this one at this point.
Yeah,
It's going to be a challenge, but like you said, defense travels, run the ball, control the clock. Don't ask Jack Chambers to do too much. Keep him in his element. You can go get it. I mean, it's just a winnable game. If you told me if you had to pick one game where Jack Chambers was going to be the quarterback, and you told me that it was going to be Syracuse, I like my odds. I think we're fine. He's a fifth-year guy. They'll open the playbook a little bit more for him. We'll be fine.
And Robert Gibbs' question. So another Clemson game, I would say no. And the difference is you have a backup quarterback. So
and they don't have 80,000 people.
Right.
So it's going to be loud, but again, and that's
they're
what I
also
always
cheating.
say.
They're cheating with the loudness though, because they have a roof.
They're cheating. Yeah, exactly. No, that too. Exactly. Yeah, no, but again, keep in mind too that the ECU game and the Clemson game are I think are going to play huge factors in this game, and the fact that we're battle tested. There is no doubt we are battle tested. So we are.
Michael's wearing his Syracuse shirt right now, right? His orange shirt.
I forgot.
I'm surprised we waited until this point.
We have a spy in the house.
Yeah, spy. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, I had a sweatshirt on, but I got hot, so I took it off.
Okay. He's like, back off, man. Yeah, there we go. All right, Wolfpack Nation. Well, once again, we obviously want to say thank you all so much again for tuning in with us. And also, too, got to give a shout out to our girl Kent again, once again, for joining us here. We're so excited to have you back. And we'll be praying for you and the family, and we'll continue to wait and hope for the absolute best news. That way we can celebrate and have a great time here. So with that being said, once again, make sure, if you haven't already, I know Greg mentioned it earlier, but if you haven't checked out our episode yet with Jack Chambers, check that out. And again, we will tweet out the link if you cannot find it. So make sure to check that out as must do. Macon, do you have one?
I got a quick point, man. Hey, I saw a tweet here that would be kind of fun as we're closing out. Brett McMurphy put up bowl predictions, and he has NC State playing Ole Miss in the Orange Bowl. So
I saw one. I saw
epic.
one Orange Bowl against Penn State. So there you go.
Whew. Ooh, James Franklin. Man, I like it. Yeah, no. Well, and so again,
gotta win those games though.
Gotta win these games. But again, we'll take it one game at a time. Let's see what happens. We'll have some fun with it. So with that being said, once again, so make sure to check that out. Make sure again, we'll have our preview with Locked On Syracuse coming up. First episode should come out tomorrow. The second part should come out on Thursday. But again, make sure if you haven't already, give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now, on Twitter or Instagram. So that way you do not miss out whenever we release that. And also, too, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you're actually notified on all your devices when we do go live with these episodes as well. Again, it's free to do.
Got to end. We got to close.
Hey, it'll just replay. Don't worry about that. So with that being said, again, thank you all so much for joining us. Also, too, hit that like button if you don't mind, and we'll see y'all soon. Go Pack, baby.
Let's go.
Yes.